I'm Pam Wiznitzer, a mixologist and beverage professional who's been crafting drinks for nearly 20 years. Have you ever made a cocktail at the circus? Or perhaps at 30,000 feet in the air? Because I have, and I happen to have a master's degree in spirits. But here's the secret. To mix a great drink, you don't need any of that. I'll show you how to make the classics right at home, and then we'll give them a twist. And you never know who might stop by the bar. Stick with me and you'll be a bar whiz in no time. What is your perfect martini?
Vodka, dry, olives.
What is your perfect martini order?
Ooh, dirty vodka, lots of olives. Blue cheese olive if I'm feeling really indulgent.
Spicy,
Yeah,
I like it. What's the worst martini you ever had?
Probably an octopus martini in Vietnam.
What is an octopus martini?
It's a martini with a little baby octopus at the bottom of the glass as a garnish.
You seem like somebody I'd want to go drinking with.
You're getting me very excited to have a cocktail even though it's 11:30.
The martini, not just for James Bond, it's for all of you. And to me, I've always considered the martini to be truly the guest is always right drink, because it's exactly the way that you want it. The issue that we find these days is that not everybody totally understands the terminology, or you might be a little bit intimidated about how to order one. Don't you worry, we're gonna go through all of that today, along with 3 absolutely fantastic recipes that you might fall in love with and maybe change your idea about how you might enjoy that stirred, not always shaken drink. Step 1 is your base spirit. You need to know whether you want it to be vodka or gin. And in some places these days, you actually have other things like aquavit or tequila or a white whiskey as the base. But normally and typically, you're gonna be ordering your martini on one of these 2 spirits. Step number 2 is the style in which you want your martini. And honestly, this is the most complicated territory because there's so many terms to know. Let's run through them really quickly. The first thing to know is that vermouth is going to be a great addition to your martini, but not everybody wants it. And the vermouth is gonna dictate how we describe that martini. If you say dry, it's gonna have very little vermouth, oftentimes less than a half an ounce. If you say very dry or bone dry, or sometimes they say a whisper of vermouth, they sometimes just add a little bit to the glass, swirl it around, and toss it out. A wet martini is one in which it has a lot of vermouth. Think something more than an ounce, but less than what is a 50-50. A 50-50 martini is one that's half spirit and half vermouth. And trust me when I tell you, this actually tastes fantastic. And if you're looking to have more than 1 or 2, maybe 3 martinis in a night, it's a great way to go because it lowers the proof level, but still gives you a really flavorful experience while you're drinking. A classic or perfect martini is gonna be one in which it's 2-to-1 or sometimes 3-to-1, meaning it's about an ounce of vermouth that goes into your drink. If you're not in the vermouth camp, but you want it dirty, oftentimes you're gonna add around an ounce of olive juice. I know that sounds like a lot, but olive juices are all very different, so you have to know how you want your martini. If you want your martini filthy, it means more than an ounce. And honestly, good on you. That's a lot of flavor, and I love that there are people out there that are adventure seeking and love their martinis to have that salinity in it. If you say lightly dirty, they're probably gonna give a splash of olive juice or less than half an ounce. The third step is the way that you want it served in the glassware. Would you like it straight up, or on the rocks? Yes, people have martinis on the rocks. Sometimes the extra dilution is actually really great, especially if you're having a dirty martini. It really lets the flavors open up with the extra dilution. Straight up or up means all the dilution happens ahead of time and is served in a classical martini glass or coupe. If somebody says they want their martini neat, that is incorrect. Neat means a pour that comes straight from the bottle, and we just don't do that here, unless you're doing something a little special like a Freezer Door Martini. Step number 4 is your garnish, and your garnish is really gonna dictate additional flavor that's added to your martini. One way is with a twist, and a twist is typically gonna be with a lemon peel. Some places actually do it with an orange as well, which is quite tasty, but traditionally it'll be a lemon peel. Olives, a great addition to your drink. There are a lot of different types of styles. You're gonna have traditional green olives at most bars. You can also order some specialty ones which add some more flair to your martinis. I really enjoy Filthy because they have a nice range and they have a blue cheese stuffed olive, and they also have things like gherkin stuffed olives. And this is a way to add a lot of flair to your drink, additional flavor, and some fun. The last garnish that you don't see as often but is really tasty is going to be a cocktail onion. And did you know that if you order a Gibson martini, it's just a classic martini with a cocktail onion as the garnish? It's a really different experience, and if you've never tried one before, why not? You got nothing to lose. Knowing all those 4 steps, how do you order a martini? Let me give you an example. My martini order most often is going to be a gin martini 50-50 up with a twist and an olive, because I really enjoy life and I think you should have a little bit of everything. Comment below and let us know what your martini order is. Let's get one thing straight. Your classic martini is actually supposed to be stirred. And I know that James Bond got it all twisted for us when he's like, shaken, not stirred. And that's so avant-garde. But the classic martini is supposed to be stirred. And the reason being is that we're trying to keep that velvety texture when we're pouring out the drink. When you shake something, you aerate it, which adds a lot of unnecessary air bubbles, and it's gonna get cloudy and has the ice chips. And sometimes that's okay if you want it for a dirty martini. But for our classics, we are stirring up that baby. You can stir your cocktails in loads of different vessels. You can actually use a pint glass at home if you have one. This is what's called a Yarai glass. I got this one from Cocktail Kingdom, and you can order them online very easily. Classic martinis are gonna have a spirit, some vermouth, and a little bit of bitters. This is an ingredient that we oftentimes overlook in a classic martini, but bitters are great because they're spirit enhancers and they add a little bit of seasoning and flavor to the drink on top of what's going in there on the spirit category. I really like orange bitters especially because it's going to add to the aromatics of what the garnish is gonna be. Whether that's a bit of the salinity that comes from the olive or it's gonna be the twist that comes from the fruit, it really helps to bind everything together. If you're using a dasher bottle, you're gonna want about 2 dashes. I sometimes like dropper bottles for this reason because it lets you really calibrate how much of the bitters are going in there. You kind of want half of a dropper or a quarter of a dropper. Or what I say is, you like to see the bottom of the Yarai glass just coated. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the vermouth. I know so many of you out there are scared of vermouth, and I don't blame you until you know what this is. It's kind of that weird ingredient to put into your drink, and oftentimes it's not even stored correctly or freshly to put into your drink. It's a wine that's fortified, meaning there's a little bit of alcohol added to it, and there are other botanicals put in it. So in fact, it's kind of like an infused spirit, and it's going to add additional subtle layers of flavor to your martini. For a perfect martini, or a classic martini as I call it, I like to do 1 ounce of vermouth. Make sure your vermouth is extra dry. Once you crack that vermouth open, don't put it on your back shelf. That is how it's gonna go rancid real fast, because remember, this is wine. The best way to store your vermouth is gonna be in the refrigerator. And when you do that, it has a shelf life of about 3 to 6 months, because remember, it's fortified out with spirit, so it has a longer shelf life than a regular bottle of wine. Time for the base spirit. I like my martinis with gin, but you can also use vodka. Fun fact, a vodka martini is actually called a kangaroo. Now, we don't really use that term, but it's a fun fact that you can pull out at a really boring wine and cheese party. For the sake of this martini, I'm gonna do it the way I like it, with some gin. You can use any kind of gin. I really like a dry gin. I like a classic dry gin with not too many botanicals in it, so we can just get that clean martini flavor. The most important part of your martinis, regardless if you think you're getting a 10 to 12 ounce glass, is you really want to keep the quantity and the amount of alcohol limited and at a responsible level. 2 ounces is a safe limit, especially if you're going to be serving it for friends or for yourself over the course of a night. Safety first. All right, we're doing 2 ounces of gin and placing it into our vessel. Sometimes it's nice to add a few ice cubes into the glass and give it a bit of a stir. This is going to chill it down, especially if you didn't place them in your freezer or refrigerator ahead of time. This way, the glass is gonna be nice and cold, so it's gonna hold the temperature of that martini a lot longer. As I mentioned before, this drink is stirred. Stirring the cocktail is crucial because that's going to incorporate all of the flavors together. It's gonna give it the dilution that it deserves. But I know, using these bar spoons is actually really hard. It took me months of practicing. I'm not even kidding. I used to work at a job where I would just stir, waiting between guest drinks just to teach myself how to do it. So if that's hard, toss the spoon, okay? Here's a fun hack, chopsticks. I like to keep a pair of really nice metal chopsticks at home because you can place that into the stirring vessel and stir. And it's actually a lot less tension on your wrist, and it's very easy to do, and everybody can use chopsticks. So whether or not you have a nice pair at home, maybe you have some left over from when you ordered some food to your home, keep them around because they're a really great hack to stir a cocktail at home. As always, keep your hand on the glass. That's gonna allow you feel for the temperature and for the control and the wash line of knowing when your drink is done. The wash line refers to where the spirit hits on the glass. When you're stirring a cocktail, the wash line starts a lot lower because there's no dilution in it. And as you allow the ice to melt, the dilution adds to increase the wash line. I know that this drink is ready when it kind of hits just below halfway in my Yarai glass. Lets me know that there's enough dilution and the drink is ready to pour out. We get my strainer out and we pour. It's like she's done this before or something. Game time decision, how do we garnish? I love a classic olive, not gonna lie. There is a superstition that you're not supposed to put an even number of olives onto the skewer. So I always say do 1 or 3, it depends on the size of olives. When they're bigger like this, 1 is really lovely, it's quite classy. I like to say that I'm a selfish drinker, meaning I like both a twist and an olive. There's nothing wrong with having both, live a little, okay? When you are going to express the oils, this is very important. Oils are on the outside of the fruit, the skin. On the inside, the white part is called the pith. Here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to hold the pith towards you, and I want you to make what I call Muppet hands with both of your hands. The idea here is to pinch it in half as fast as possible. If you do it slowly, the oils are not gonna have enough kinetic energy to push out the oils onto the drink. So you need to snap it as quickly as possible because that type of friction is gonna force out the oils on top of your drink. Best placement to do it. You're gonna go 1 inch back from your drink, 1 inch up, 45-degree angle. That's gonna give us a nice coverage area of your drink. If you do it too close, it only cascades over 1 part. Too far away, it doesn't even get on top. So here's what it looks like. Go up, pull back, angle, and squeeze. And voila, we've got the oils on top of the entire drink, and this is the point in which you can add a little extra of the oils on the rim for some flavor. You can leave it out if you want because the oils are already there, but if you'd like it in for the aesthetics and the fun, go ahead and add it into your drink. Don't tempt me with a good time. I'm definitely gonna dive right into this cocktail. This is exactly the way I want to have my martini. And when it's made at this ratio, it just goes down so beautifully. It's the right amount of gin with the vermouth, the lemon oils on top, they kind of cascade and linger at the end. And I always love it to know that there is that snack of an olive that I get after I drink some of the cocktail. This is fantastic. And I like both the garnishes, but I know some people are really in one camp versus another. Which one's your favorite? Are you team twist? Or are you team olive? It's time to get a little bit dirty. But let's start with a different step first. For this dirty martini, we're going to do some fat washing. So let's show how the process is done. Most dirty martinis, or a lot of them that you order, happen to be vodka based. And truly for me, I actually like vodka a little bit better than gin because it works better with the olive brine. For this particular dirty martini, I'm doing an olive expression. This vodka that I really love is called Castraleone, and it's made from olives. So we're gonna have this with some olive oil with the olive brine, and this is gonna be a sensational dirty martini. Fat washing is a process, and so we're taking something with fattiness, think oils or the fat renderings from bacon, from nuts, and we're infusing it into our spirit. It tends to take a nighttime process because you're gonna freeze it. And here are a few techniques that I like to do to ensure you have the right amount of fat washing in your spirit. We're going to be infusing 8 ounces of spirit, or 1 cup. I like using a bit more of a shallow bowl or a flatter surface because a larger bowl is harder to get the integration of the oils into the spirit. When you are doing fat washing, especially with olive oil, make sure you're using extra virgin olive oil. It's going to go a lot further and it's going to be better, higher quality for your drink. About 1 tablespoon per 1 cup of spirit. In truth, I sometimes like to do a dash more. If you look up the technique of fat washing, they're oftentimes gonna tell you to start stirring and incorporating, which you can do. But that whipping is gonna take a long time and it's pretty strenuous on your hands, and it's not gonna get the full aeration to integrate the oils into the spirit. So, I got a tip for you. You know that milk frother you have at home for your milk and coffee in the morning? Well, it has multi-purposes, and one of them is to whip and aerate anything that you have that's liquid. And here, it's the best way to integrate the oils and the fats into the spirits and do it at such a rapid, fast pace and also break it up. So, give it a whirl. And if you can see right here, you can see the aeration happening. You can see the bubbles that are forming. So with this aeration, it's actually breaking up the fats and it's integrating it into the spirit. If you hold it at the center, it's going to definitely whisk around more, but I encourage you to move it around the bowl. Here's the thing about timing when it comes to whipping up your cocktail. What you really want to see is the full integration of the fats into the spirit. So now this could take 5 seconds, or I like to hold it for kind of between 20 to 30 seconds. I think that really gets the full integration. Now that it's done, we got to pop it into the freezer. At a minimum of 4 to 5 hours, it can do the job, but I'd like to give it a bit more time. So at least 12 hours is going to give us the best opportunity to get the fats separated and integrated. Okay, this is rested overnight for 24 hours in the freezer, and we've got our infusion. It's pretty great when you look up close. Kind of like the chicken soup when it sits overnight. You're gonna see like the hard pieces are in there at the top and at the bottom. But the other part about this is that it's quite cloudy because the fat washing has really infused in the spirit. That's why the filtration part, which we're gonna do right here, is so imperative if you wanna have that beautifully clear martini at the end product. When you oil wash, when you fat wash something, the fats are going to congeal and they're going to harden overnight. That comes from the freezing purposes. It's easy to remove these immediately, but you'll see that your spirit is still quite cloudy. I'm going to do a 2-part filtration process. Number 1 is just to get the big clumps out, and number 2 is to really refine the spirit. I'm going to take this, I'm going to dump out the spirit into another vessel to hold, and you can see just those olive oil chunks just come out straight here in the strainer, right? You can get rid of those, you don't need them. This is the part that takes a little bit more time because it's not just gonna filter immediately. So we're gonna take our spirit and we're gonna start pouring it nice and slow into our filter. Give it a second. You're gonna wanna wait a few seconds, pour a little bit more on top. And then when it starts to slow down, take anything that's come out in the beginning and put it back in. Sometimes the bits and the pieces of the cloudy part will actually push through the filter. So we're gonna let it strain for a little bit of time, take it out, refilter this part. So this part here that's not as clear as I want it to be will clarify out a lot better the second pass through. I'm gonna add in that bit of the first pass to the top, and I'm gonna let it filter. This won't take too long. Remember, I only did a cup of vodka. It definitely depends on the quantity of infusion that you have. So let's put this to the side while it's filtering, and we can get the rest of our cocktail ready. So this will be done, and then we're ready to rock and roll and stir up something really great. We've passed it through the filter, and as you can see, it has the clarity. It's not perfectly clear, that'd be strange, because it means all the fats would be gone, but it definitely has the olive oil washed into that vodka right here. And we're ready to make our martini. I personally like a little bit of vermouth in my dirty martini. Some people do, but for the sake and purpose of this drink, we're gonna omit that and we're gonna focus solely on high quality olive brine. Personally, me and my favorite hack is actually ordering olive brine on its own. And there are some fantastic companies out there. One that I use a lot is Filthy because it's easy to store, high quality. The owner did lots of research on finding out about olives. Plus the functionality of the pour spout is absolutely fantastic. We're gonna use ½ an ounce of the olive brine. If you like your martinis filthy, add more. But I wanna make sure that we're not getting in the way of the really beautiful taste of this olive oil washed vodka, and too much olive brine is gonna mask that. If you're not an olive brine person, maybe you're a pickle person, there are lots of options to put pickles in your drinks as well. A really great new product to market is Patino's Pickled Bitters, and you can get them online, and just a few dashes of this is gonna add that pickly nature to your drink. The amount of spirit that normally should be in a martini is around 2 ounces. For the sake of this one, because I'm only using ½ an ounce of olive brine, I'm gonna up it to 2.5. But just be sure that you're not adding too much spirit because there are safety levels of consumption, and also for balance of flavor. We're gonna add 2.5 ounces of that vodka. A lot of people love having their dirty martinis shaken, especially because of the olive brine and to break it up. But because we've done so much to integrate the fattiness into the spirit, I want to keep that texture, especially that olivey, oily wash texture in the drink. So we're going to stir it. If we look at the wash line of the Yara glass right now, it's about at 1/3. We want to make sure it bumps up at least by 1 centimeter, if not 1.5 centimeters. I went metric on you all. When you're stirring, you're feeling for temperature. You're also looking for the wash line integration. And you're just seeing the incorporation and dilution of this gorgeous drink you're about to have. All right, we're done stirring. If you can look at the wash line, we've really bumped it up. We really raised it up, and we're just below halfway of the RI glass, which is perfect. It means we have the right amount of dilution because all your drinks should be about 1/3 dilution, and we're ready to get into the glass. All right, pour the drink out. So many choices when it comes to the garnish of this particular cocktail. Now you can go with your regular olives, and those are great. But if you're a blue cheese stuffed olive fan, this is absolutely the place where you should be integrating it. And if you went with the pickle route, there actually are also pickle stuffed olives. Crazy, I know, and people love that snack action. I'm not gonna lie, I do love me a blue cheese stuffed olive, especially when they're pre-made and well crafted. So I'm gonna get that here on the side of the drink, and I think we're ready to have our first sip. That's amazing. That is so good. That is so flavor packed. And it's not too olivey, which is a crazy thing to say, even though there's so much olive integration into it. It's not that olivey, and it's not too filthy. And it's ice cold, and you have this really cool sensation on your palate from the fat washing. This is one of those martinis that people are gonna have it and say, what is in this? This is unreal. It's something like they've never had before. And honestly, I cannot wait for all of you to try this at home. This is a fantastic martini for me, but what if you all were coming over to my house and I needed to make a lot more of them really quickly? I got a really good hack for that. Entertaining guests is fun, but also a hassle. It doesn't have to be so difficult. You can just make a Freezer Door Martini. Freezer Door Martinis are a fantastic hack to make multiple of one cocktail that's pre-diluted at the right temperature, so you don't have to be stirring up a drink for every single person who comes into your home. First, you're gonna need a bottle. Make sure you wash it out and it's sanitized. And another really helpful tool is gonna be a funnel, because in order to pour into the bottle, you need this. As with lots of other martinis, gin is such a huge category, and you can pull from lots of different styles and flavors. One of them that I particularly love happens to be Forbes gin. There is a little bit of emphasis on chamomile on this, and it works really well in a martini. Fun hack is that if you use this bottle and use it in its entirety, it has a measurement line here, so you can actually reuse this bottle and repurpose it to always make your Freezer Door Martinis, because it has the lines already in there. You're going to need a measuring cup, and you also need to know how big your bottle is. This is a 1 liter bottle, which is 33.81 ounces, or roughly 32 ounces. Always make sure that you're keeping a lot of space for some of the air on top. For this, we are doing roughly a 2-1-1 ratio, meaning 2 parts gin, 1 part vermouth, and 1 part water. All right, we are gonna start with about 15 ounces of gin. If you're somebody who likes a bit more gin heavy martinis, you absolutely can do that, but here I'm trying to keep a good ratio across the board. With a ratio of 2-1-1, it means that both the vermouth and the water are gonna come in between 6 to 8 ounces. Depends how heavy you want the vermouth. So I kind of like to crack it up to be about 7 ounces of vermouth that's going to go into this martini. Make sure it's an extra dry vermouth. If you get a sweet vermouth, it's not gonna turn out the right way. And if you get a Bianco or Blanc vermouth, it's gonna maybe be a touch bit more floral or sweet than you want it to be. At this point, you can just fill it to the top with water because we know how many ounces it's gonna be, but for consistency's sake, let's measure out our water. I do like to use a filtered water or a natural water source because that's going to yield the best quality martini. But honestly, if you're just using the tap, like I live here in New York City, that stuff is great in your martini. You might be saying, Pam, why are we adding water to this martini if it's going to the freezer? Well, we're not adding any more dilution after it comes out of the freezer. And if you recall, a martini is normally stirred over ice, which not only cools it down, but also dilutes it properly before it's served. So here, we're omitting the ice and we're using water instead and freezing it at the perfect temperature so you can just pour and serve. Ooh, this fits in beautifully to our martini board. So this has been sitting at least for 12 hours in the freezer. You can see it's frosted over. We also pre-frosted our martini glasses, and you make a nice board with lots of different accoutrements. You have all of your different types of garnishes here. You can add some snacks to it too, but this is honestly the perfect hosting opportunity. And as promised before, it is pre-diluted, ready to go. and it's ready to pour. It is pretty cold, so you don't want too much contact with the bottle. And you can see that stunning texture of the martini. The freezing point actually makes it a little bit more viscous and a little bit thicker in texture. It just has to do with what happens with the temperature in regard to the martini. And now it's up to you. As I said before, as I've mentioned once before, a cocktail onion is such a fun option, and when you add it to a martini, it's called a Gibson. The Freezer Door Martini is the ultimate guest experience. I think it's just too much for one person though. Oh, if only I had somebody else to drink it with. Oh look, it's actor, writer, and award winner Constantine Rousouli.
Hello, and welcome to my home. Could you imagine?
I know, it could
if I
be.
lived here? Cheers.
Cheers to you, love.
This looks incredible.
Oh, thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I know you like martinis.
Are you kidding me? I'm a dirty martini girl.
How dirty is dirty for you?
Honestly, not too dirty. A slight dirty, but that's
A little bit.
delicious.
Let's go. And if you want more garnishes, they're right here. But tell me, you do so much work and it's very exhausting to have cocktails. And you just recently won an Olivier Award.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, what's that? An Olivier is the Tonys of London. So, you know how to explain to the people.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not your first award that you've won. You've won many others. The
Yes.
Obie Award, right?
An
Drama
Omi,
Desk.
a drama desk,
Yeah.
a Lortel.
Oh, what is the Lortel? Tell
The
everybody.
Lortel's the off-Broadway Tonys as well. I mean, we're just Tony Award winners without being a Tony Award
Without
winner.
being on Broadway, you can be off Broadway.
Yeah, you can make so much money in this field.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that I would call you the original heartthrob, right? You were Lincoln Hairspray, you were Fiyero in Wicked, you were Sebastian in the off-Broadway production of Cruel Intentions.
Yes, I sure was.
So then who's your heartthrob?
Oh, wow. Like from the 90s?
I mean,
Or
whenever.
right now?
Yes.
I mean, I would have to say heartthrob from the 90s, Ryan Phillippe.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to play him in the show, so that was really fun.
So tell everybody who maybe like they don't know your entire background, stage, screen, like when did you get started? What was your first role? And what was so iconic about it?
Yeah, no, after, during high school, I booked Hairspray. It was just, you know, one of those crazy stories that I would sneak into the city and audition for Broadway musicals.
So you did without anybody knowing. You just really went in.
I went in, dove headfirst.
And what did that feel like? I mean, that's a leading role in a huge musical.
Honestly, the craziest thing I've ever experienced. It was, you know, 17 on a national tour.
You've been doing some crazy stuff, and for those who don't know, he is the writer and co-founder, I'd like to say, of the iconic Titanique. Titanique has been a success. It's something that started in the basement of a Christie's.
Yeah, it's the old UCB space, which
Right.
was on 26th and 8th.
And when you were writing this, were you just like, this will be funny. This will be a good time to be funny. Did you ever think it was going to turn into, literally now it's a global sensation, and you won awards for it?
Well, I mean, we've truly bamboozled commercial theater, so thank you. But I remember writing it. We wrote it 10 years ago in LA. We were both, my writing partner and I, Marla Mandel, and Ty Blue, our director, another co-writer. We were doing these shows at this like bargain basement, you know, immersive theater in LA. So we would just do movie to musical parodies. And one night I was martinis deep and I said, we have to write our own shows and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what about if we did Titanic with all Celine Dion music? And I was like, Marla, you'll be Celine and I'll be Jack. And then she was like, homo, go home and go to sleep. And, but little did you know, I went home and the Spirit of Christ came through me and I started writing on my computer and I was like, whoa, I don't know how to write.
And it's flowing.
And it's flowing and it just, I did an outline and it just happened.
Okay, so when you're not on the stage, sometimes you're on the screen.
Sometimes.
Let's go.
Like today.
Like today you are. So you're no fool to the camera. You know how to obviously be in front of it.
Why do you think I sat like this? This is my good angle.
The good angle.
That's my Ariana Grande angle.
What would you say is the show that people recognize you the most from?
Probably Hunter, when I played the pivotal role of Hunter Kane in Charmed.
Wow.
Yeah, I was the devil's son, so that honestly tracks.
Some people might not know this, but you're my friend. And we do like to share cocktails from time to time when we go out. So tell...
I don't know what you're talking about.
Never. I've never seen you with a martini. But if it wasn't a martini, what else would you be drinking?
Well, because I'm gay and I'm basic, I will probably have to drink a spicy skinny margarita.
We love it. So
And
like
you know
no
what?
agave?
Everybody's gonna come for me. No, you can have a touch, a scotch.
Ooh.
I like it, you know, I like it spicy and you know, bitter and citrusy.
We love it. So you might want to tune into our episode where we make a spicy margarita.
Oh, cool.
Good plug. Okay. What's a good bar without some snacks in the game? You ready to dive in?
Let's go.
I don't know the questions. You don't know the questions.
So let it rip.
Let's get weird.
Okay.
Okay, ready? Fartini. What's the farthest you've ever been from home?
Farthest I've ever been from home, Bora Bora.
Whoa.
Yes.
What took you there for fun?
No, I bamboozled this commercial with one of my best friends. We had to pretend to be a married couple, and we booked this job. And they were like, "Wow, you guys are newlyweds." We're like, "Yes, we are." And they put us up at the Four Seasons. It was very White Lotus, and someone died. I'm kidding.
Season 4.
Season 4, starring me.
Can't wait for you to be cast.
Yeah, no, Bora Bora, coolest place I've ever been to in my life.
Cool, I
It
love
took
that.
97 hours to get there, but
Worth it.
you know, it's so worth it. For a free trip to Bora Bora, I was like, great.
All right, ready? What's your dream role in a musical?
Radames and Aida. That is a throwback, old school.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Elton John, Tim
You would-
Rice music.
you would
Hello.
kill that.
I would kill it.
Yeah, bring it back.
Let's bring it back.
Bring it back. Bartini. What's the strangest drink you've ever had?
Strangest drink I've ever had. This one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding. Could you imagine? I'd smash it.
And throw it.
I know. I don't know how people do pickleback shots. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever had. It's probably not the craziest, but it's the most disgusting thing I've ever had.
It's not for you.
Not for
That's
me.
a big nish-nish in
That
your
is a
book.
hard pass.
And not a yeah, it's a nish-nish.
Yeah. That.
Jartini. What's the most unusual thing you've ever kept in a jar? Besides my heart.
My dreams.
Startini. Tell us about a time you were starstruck.
Oh, well, Matt Bomer came to Titanique and he sat in the 4th row and I was like, that is the hottest man I've ever seen in my life. And then I was like, oh my God, it's Matt Bomer. And then the whole show I was just playing it to him and everyone's like, hey, you're on stage. And I was like, what? I just want to, but that's Matt Bomer. So Matt Bomer, if you're watching, I'm very single, but I know you're married with kids. But hey, we're gay.
What's a place you've always dreamed of visiting?
I've never been to Italy. I want to go to like
What?
I want to go to Milano, Positano. I feel like I need to be like Stanley Tucci and like, you know,
I
make
think you'd
food
kill it there.
in Italy.
Eat the pasta.
Yeah, I
you know,
would feel like I would nail it.
the Negronis.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, yet again, I'm bringing up White Lotus, but that was the most incredible season. And it made me want to go to Italy like tomorrow.
Scartini. What's the silliest way you've ever gotten a minor injury?
Okay, since we're talking about stage moments, yeah, I fell into the pit in Hairspray on Broadway.
No.
Yep.
And?
Slipped on a paper mache flower, and my big Greek ass went straight into the pit.
Oh.
I hit the trombone player in the head, and then I came back up.
Incredible. And you just performed the rest of the
Rolled
night.
my ankle, but I was like, you know what? I'm doing it for the gays.
For us. Oh my God, I'm so glad you're okay, but iconic.
Yeah, it was
at the same
iconic
time.
and a great story, but also, yeah, I saw the end of my life.
And Jesus
And
for the first
Jesus,
time.
it was like white, and I was like, oh my God.
What's your favorite type of weather?
Oh. April 24th. Not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. Miss Congeniality.
Now you know how to make a martini 3 different ways. Comment below if there's a cocktail that you want to learn how to make, and we might just pick it for one of our next drink segments. And to Constantine, thanks so much for coming in and sharing a martini with me.
You're so welcome.
Final words, maybe a little toast on
A
your
little
end?
toast since I'm Greek. We say this in Greek.
Let's go.
Yamas.
Yamas.
Cheers.
Cheers, my love. And thank you, Constantine, for coming in and having a martini
And
with me.
thank you, Constantine.
Constantine.
I mean, I would have dragged you still. Keep it. Keep it and put it in the blooper
And then
reel.
my Celsius wore off. Okay, ready?